Welcome to Fright Night. Peter Vincent, Fright Night. Today's review is the remake, the 2011 version of Fright Night. Of course, I'm a big fan of the original movie. I did a review of it last year for my 31 Days of Horror, so check out that review if you haven't already. This one, I was a little hesitant to see I didn't see it when it came. I just recently watched this. Actually, I found the DVD or the Blu-ray combo pack for pretty cheap, and I thought, you know what, I'll check it out. I have actually heard some good things. I am actually quite shocked that the movie it's actually really good, really good, and it just goes to show that yeah, you know what, you can hop on this train of let's remake fucking everything, and there's a good way to do it. There really is. One thing I thought as the main character, Anton Yelchin, very good. I mean, a lot more better talent as an actor than the original kid. Nothing wrong, nothing against the original kid, but you know, Anton Yelchin, he's a very talented actor. Obviously, when he gets the role, like something like Charlie Bartlett, I'm a big fan of that movie. I thought he's fantastic in that movie, and he brings a lot of, you know, almost unnecessarily good acting to a cheesy kind of movie like this. So he's convincing. He's good. Also really good. Toni Collette as his mother. Again, they try to flesh out the character a little bit, which I appreciated. Imogen Poots is his would-be girlfriend, very good as well. Colin Farrell, and obviously the role once occupied by Chris Sarandon, who's excellent in the original. I think I might still like Chris Sarandon in the role better, but Colin Farrell was really, really good. I was surprised at how good he was. I mean, he really does play a convincing vampire. Like, yeah, he's charming, but he is kind of like this modern vampire where, you know, instead of like, and that's kind of what the original movie did. Like, Chris Sarandon was like a modernized vampire. He was like the Miami Vice vampire, which is kind of weird because Colin Farrell. Never mind. But Colin Farrell, and again, another kind of updated. He's like kind of, you know, the mysterious bad boy kind of vampire. And I thought he was really good in the role. And he has these like hints of like absolute evil in him that I loved. And probably the show stealer was David Tennant, who of course famous for playing Doctor Who as Peter Vincent, the role once occupied by Roddy McDowall, who's also really great. And again, it's kind of a similar switch on the character where it's more of a modern version of it. Like the Peter Vincent in this movie, Las Vegas showman, paranormal, occult kind of stuff, kind of a hack, a wash up, but as we do kind of find out a bit about the character, it's not all necessarily just for show. There's something, you know, there's a reason why his apartment, his loft, his penthouse is full of this crazy occult shit. So I like that, and I thought he was a really great character in playing this, you know, kind of sort of like cowardly but kind of scarred, hesitant assistant hero, I guess you could say, which it remains the same spirit as the Roddy McDowall character in Peter Vincent in the original. So I really liked all that, and I just liked how there were things that are, you know, so similar from the original, but kind of switched around a little bit. Like, essentially it's the same movie. Essentially it is a remake, but not a shot-by-shot remake or anything like that. But there are familiar scenes, so you're like, okay, yeah, I remember this scene in the original. This is the scene where they're at the club, right? And he seduces the girl. Oh, this is the scene where he confronts Charlie right in front of him and is scaring the shit out of him. This is the scene where there's the big showdown. But they switch things up a little bit. They make the scenes a little bit different. And while they do keep it quite similar, there's enough changes that I thought were really good to the story. And in some aspects improved it. Like, I do think, you know, one big change was to the setting of the location, which in the original I actually can't remember. Just kind of like a small town. I don't think they even named the town. Maybe I'm wrong. Call myself a fan. I don't even know. But they said in Las Vegas in this one, which I thought is interesting because yeah, it's like everybody sleeps all day and is out all night. So perfect place for a vampire, don't you think? So I thought that was an interesting piece to the concept. And again, it is kind of like in broader terms, like the original, like it's like a rite of passage about growing up, because obviously the Anton Yelchin character is, you know, trying to abandon his nerdy ways. He has a friend, Ed, Evil Ed, who was so great in the original, played perfectly, by the way, by Christopher Mintz-Plasse. Just spot on casting. Um, so you know they talk about how like they're, you know, have their nerdy past. You know, they have a geeky kind of video that he threatens to show everyone at school. So I thought all that was pretty good, and so I think the heart of the story remains the same. There are very specific passages of the movie that remain very the same, but it has a lot of switches to it, like the ending and kind of Charlie's victory is played out differently, and I really like that. And even like Evil Ed, his kind of deal was a little bit different too. And I don't know. I just thought the movie has a great energy. It's a really good looking movie too. Like obviously this was, you know, we're still in that era where we have to make everything 3D. So 3D, 3D, 3D. So there's some parts where you're like, okay, this is lingering a little too long with something flying at the screen, and that's kind of stupid. But yeah, I think it's a very I don't know, tonally appropriate. It is kind of this, like you'll see in a lot of movies, kind of like a bluish tone almost, but it works really well. And they're great shots of the Las Vegas cloud line, and you see all the clouded overness, if that's a word. And I thought it was really well done. There are some scenes where, say, there's a digital computer generated gore, which, you know, I could have used more practical effects. They have a few, but it's more keeping modern with that. So I think it would have been a lot better if they applied a little bit more practical effects. Now it's all about digital blood spray shit like that, which I'm not a big fan of, but I thought this movie wasn't highly offensive in its use of it. I thought what it did with it, it worked. So a very good modern vampire movie, and it took something that modernized the old concept of vampire movies, tailored it for the 80s, took that custom tailoring from the 80s to the 2010s. So I thought they did a really good job of that. So I think this movie, again, I'm absolutely shocked at how legitimately good it was, how much I really, really enjoyed it. It just shows that you can remake movies right. You don't have to switch everything up. You don't have to make it a unique new vision. You can just make enough switches and turns in it that it's still recognizable as the movie that you all love, but still something completely new for audiences who've never even heard of the original, but then still something a little bit different. So each generation of audience, so like each person, whatever they're coming into it with, gets a good experience out of it. So, you know, I would say I sincerely I wish that, you know, whoever made this movie, I think Craig Gillespie, Italian, I don't know, and who wrote it, Martin Noxon. So I don't know. I wish they would have made the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. They would have done a good job, I think. But I digress. I think it's a very good movie, very enjoyable. Honestly, I think it is almost on par with the original. Almost. I do like the original better. The original's fucking awesome, but I think it's close. So, yeah, it's my review of Fright Night, and thanks a lot for watching. More reviews this October to come.